Welcome to T is for Trauma. I'm your host, David O'Connor. My guest today is Thanh Hoang, and I think this is a truly amazing episode. Thanh is a very complex individual, and I really appreciated how he showed up in our time together. As the result is raw, it's vulnerable, it's messy, and it's oftentimes hilarious. In this way, I think it is the perfect representation of the layered nature of trauma. Over the course of the episode, Thanh talks about what it was like to grow up Vietnamese in Oklahoma, experiencing domestic violence from a young age, how he found compassion and grace for his parents as an adult, going to visit the source of intergenerational trauma in Vietnam, and how therapy and meditation help shift his perspective. As a quick note, before we record each interview, I extend to guests the offer of complete creative control over the final edit of their episode. In this case, Thanh has elected to bleep some of the names of the individuals involved, as he has since forgiven them. And with that said, please enjoy this episode with Thanh Hoang. Thanh, welcome to the podcast. I always like to start with gratitude, and I want to thank you for taking the time to be here today and share your story. We have become friends in only the last couple months through our mutual friend, Jose. And in learning more about your story, I am struck by, we have very different stories, but I'm also struck by the similarities in our stories. And I am excited to delve more into that today and learn more about your life and kind of how things played out for you. So the place I want to start is, where did you grow up?
Well, cool. Yeah. I always start my interviews. My name is Thanh Hoang. Yeah, dude. I'm a Vietnamese American dude that grew up in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So, like, that in itself is a mouthful. Right, like Oklahoma is like a land of stolen land stolen land, and so, dude, yeah, there's a Vietnamese population that got transported there after the Vietnam War, and just to explain like why I'm there, like my dad, before I was born, he got a random ad on the paper that said, "Come to Oklahoma, get jobs," and my dad and my mom were refugees from the Vietnam War, and so they followed this random paper ad that my cousin saw and like sent it to them, and they just like, all right, cool, let's just do this.
Where were they at the time?
California, which is like a general term. Even I don't think my parents knew, to be honest with you, because like, yeah, I don't think they knew. San Jose, somewhere where all the Viets were. But yeah, it's funny because like they YOLO their lives, and like they can't give me details because they literally don't know. Like
right.
So like it's just they just YOLO'd it. So it's San Jose, but maybe, like, according to them, according to some letters I found. But yes, I was born and raised in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Okay. What do you remember from that time?
Suffering, like a lot of suffering and a lot of oppression. It's not like, it's hard to explain, right? Because like my life now, we'll get into it obviously, but like, you know, I live in Austin, Texas. Like I'm this free hipster paddleboarding yoga dude, and like it's hard to like, I don't know. I think like kind of trauma, whatever, like it kind of oppresses it. But dude, I just remember being this. I don't identify as it, but I just remember being this nerdy, bullied kid who was just forced to be quiet all the time, and like, yeah. Like not fitting in anywhere, not fitting in with the white people, not fitting in with the jocks, even though I was a good wrestler. Like it never really made sense, my physical being in Oklahoma. Like I was not accepted with the Asians because I wasn't Asian enough. It's just weird and fuzzy. And like, how do you grow up with that? But like inside, like, you know you're cool, but like there's no external factor telling you you're cool.
Right.
And so it's just like, yeah, it was fuzzy up until I moved out when I was 21, 22. But fuzzy is the best word for it because it's just like, do I even belong here? Do people even want me here? You know, like, is this real life? Because this fucking sucks. You know, like, this fucking sucks, right? Like, yeah, that's what it's like to be Vietnamese American in Oklahoma, and to be honest.
So you had said that there was a Vietnamese community in Oklahoma. In what way were you not Asian enough for them?
I think I wasn't, right? I think we'll just say Asian American for the sake of easiness of saying, being Asian American in America back then and even now, you're jockeying for a foothold, right? And like, Asian or not, we try to be individualistic, but when there's like stereotypes of like, we want to stand out. My point is, if you're the one Asian dude out of 20 people in high school at a club or a party or whatever, like your only shtick is to be Asian, you play that shtick, right? Like, I made some stupid ass fucking fried rice jokes and egg roll jokes, and I had a wrestling move called the egg roll. But my point is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your shtick is being Asian, so you play to that shtick, and like, it's kind of shameful, right? And so my point is that I play to that shtick, right? Whereas the Vietnamese, if you're like pure Vietnamese and you don't have great English, you look at the jokes that are playing the shtick, like, oh, what a Uncle Wong. We call it Uncle Wong, right? Like, what an Uncle Wong, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's how you get divided out of any community, right? You're the only Asian guy being Uncle Wong, and then you're not Vietnamese for the Vietnamese. Like, I can't, I don't speak Viet.
Right.
And
you've got one foot in both camps, but you're not really
not even
accepted by either.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So like, I excelled at white things, quote unquote, which is a shitty term. And so that's why like I got ostracized by my own Vietnamese community, because I wasn't Vietnamese for them. And I think, that jaded you, right? It made me a better person, to be frank with you, but it's shitty.
Yeah. And then in terms of the home life, I know you had mentioned that there was a lot of violence at home. Yeah. When were you first kind of cognizant of that? Do you remember?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was always a factor, right? So like, in our third home, I think I want to describe it to you like a memory, like my first memory. I'm just like a little baby, right? I remember like, not baby, maybe 3-4,
right, like
3-4-ish, but enough to like remember shit.
Yeah.
And I just remember like a blunt force hitting my stomach and me falling down the stairs, right? like you don't know how it happened, but your body and your mind, they remember pain.
Yeah.
Or like experiences.
Yeah, sensation.
Yeah. And like, just knowing like that can happen again. Like, like it's the weather. Like, I'm feeling a punch coming on soon.
Right.
Yeah, it's as natural as, it wasn't like every day, like a movie, but like it's as natural as, it was like violence is just like, it's gonna happen. Like, like it's gonna rain in 7 days. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And this was mostly from your dad, right?
So to explain, I think, Dad was an angry drunk. I'll be honest, like I didn't receive a lot of his rage or consequence, whatever, the effects, at least early on when I was a BB, my older brother did. But like, indirectly, as I got older, then I would get some pressure. But to be frank with you, I didn't get as bad as or my mom.
Right. But so this was kind of just a mainstay at home when you were growing up?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, like I said, it was like a natural order of the jungle, right? Like, shut the fuck up, and try to keep within your box, do not get hit. Like,
Right.
like that was the jungle, and my dad was the king of that jungle, and that's literally it.
And did your parents stay together when you were young?
Yeah, that was such a big focal point during my teenage years of like, to answer your question, they stayed together. That's actually a really good story because like, they have their Vietnamese ideals, right? And, for this podcast, like my mom passed away 2 or 3 years ago. So that's my past or present tense will be kind of fuzzy. But anyways, to answer the question, my mom always had Vietnamese ideals, right? And it was just, it didn't occur to her, and it was never a possibility to divorce this dude because like she's like, I chose this dude, that's it,
Right.
right? And whether that's Vietnamese ideals. And my dad wasn't a saint. We'll talk about that later, but like he did his best. He did his best and he changed. But I think my point is, even after his death 12, 14 years ago, like my mom didn't date a single dude afterwards, right? Out of respect, out of love. So that just goes to show you the culture and morals just go such a long way. Yeah, dude. So my point is, with my mom's strong Vietnamese morals or culture, me and Hong's prerogative was like, dude, let's get the fuck away from this dude.
Right.
Like, there were literally physical fights of like, you need, like, whenever they occurred, you're like, mom, like, you gotta divorce this dude. Because, like, divorce was such a weird concept to them. Like, it just wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, we're in America, we got these crazy new ideas. And my mom would, like, refer to that as a crazy idea. like, divorce, right? Like, you know, get out of there with this fucking white people thing. Like, you know, like, mom, like, dude, he's beating the shit out of you and Hong's fighting him. And I fought him once, but like, dude, can we please divorce so we can move on with our lives? And it just wasn't, just like, no, dude, you know?
Yeah.
And now that it's, you know, when you're a kid, you watch Family Matters or Boy Meets World, you know, you get these ideas of like what can be possible for you or what is sitcom family life, but sometimes, nah, you know, like those ideals are just TV ideals or just foreign concepts to some people.
Yeah, I mean, kind of in a very similar way. I mean, I think divorce was only introduced in Ireland maybe like some point in the late 90s. So like I would see this on TV. Yeah. And like, you know, a lot of shows, families were divorced. And it seemed like such a normal everyday thing in the US, but in Ireland it was like so taboo to split from your partner. Like in that same way, the person that you married was supposed to be your life partner. And, you know, nothing was supposed to derail that idea. And the idea of wanting to separate from the person that you married was just like so frowned upon.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there's a cultural stigma. There's such a cultural stigma, right? Whether it's, if I divorce this dude, then I'm going to be the divorce lady.
Right.
Right. And like, whether it's religious or cultural. But yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, that's crazy. You're Irish Catholic, I assume. Yeah. Yeah, Vietnamese Catholic.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
There's probably a lot of overlaps.
No, it really is, dude. Catholicism, like, doing this colonial thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when I talk to a lot of different cultures where the constant is religion. Like, there's so many of the same, let's say, kind of stigmas or kind of like mental blocks in terms of like shame or you know, bottling things up or you know, relationship issues, et cetera, and like, even though these cultures exist or occur thousands of miles away from each other, there's these undercurrents of similarity in the problems that it's tragic, but it's also funny when you kind of look at it. Yeah.
You're like a dude literally twice my size and height, and we have like a lot of like similarities, right? You're like, it's crazy, man. I want to say, I guess, I don't know, for the record, for how the story turned out. As an adult, I told you as a teenager, one of my biggest things was get my parents to divorce, and that was like our solution. My mom was right, to be frank with you, for her and my dad, like, to stay and how it played out. I think, how to summarize it, I just think after seeing my mom's respect, quite frankly, love is a weird word, right? Respect for what my dad did for us in terms of bringing us here and putting food on the table and not leaving us.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't deserve a gold medal for that, but I think my mom played it right? She was right to like stick with him and take the chance on him, if you will, you know? So I just want to set the story straight. Like, yeah, like we wanted to divorce, but they both played it as best they could, and it worked out, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like even with the kind of negative qualities or acts, that she was still able to find grace for him and see like the positive attributes.
I mean, Yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, like she wasn't so too good at expressing. I think, like I said, I think it was just a combination of I don't know any better. I'm gonna stick with this dude hitting me. I'm gonna fight back, and then eventually it just got better, right? So I don't know if it's like love or like you're saying like the grace. I see what you're saying. I just maybe a combination of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably like very emotionally tricky and muddled.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, you also have your own feelings on it and your own experiences.
Exactly. Right.
If I understand correctly, though, your dad was kind of like in and out of your life, though. Is that correct?
I would say incorrect because he was always there without being there. So okay, you're correct. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to troll you. Like, it's just I think I'd be a unique scenario where I don't know anything about my dad, but he was literally there. He was just the dude busted his ass, man. He was a construction worker at this a welder at a construction company, and like the dude was pushing 50, 60-hour weeks.
Yeah.
And I can barely push 40, 45-hour weeks without mentally crying, right? Like, so like, dude, I get it, but dude, me and my brothers, we don't know a damn thing about my dad besides he liked to fish, and I just think, yeah, he wasn't really present. Is it his fault? No, man, because he had the work, and then B, the dude didn't have the tools to talk. Like, he spoke Vietnamese, and I think it was an unconscious decision to not teach us Vietnamese to separate us, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, to have a leg up on his kids, it's a weird situation, man. I'm actually one of it's not super rare in the Vietnamese American community, but it's present. I'd say, rough estimation, 1 to 2% of Vietnamese Americans have this unique scenario where like our parents didn't talk to us, like, or teach us Vietnamese, right? It's similar to like first generation Spanish, Mexican Americans that can't speak Spanish.
Right.
It's a very similar thing of like the parents just wanted, out of laziness, to be honest, or like I want you to assimilate better to American culture. That was a result. All those things added up to me not talking to my father, and vice versa.
Right.
So like, if I had to say, the gamble worked off. To be 100% honest with you, like it worked off, whether intentional or not. Me and my brothers were able to divide us from the other Vietnamese that kept within the Vietnamese community.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I don't want to spoil too much or whatever, but that gamble paid off huge for them.
Right. So you feel like giving you those tools to kind of assimilate and fit in better ended up being a benefit to you long term?
No, for sure. It sucks, right? Because like, I know in my head and logically it paid off, man. Me and my brothers, I say killers. Don't say that on the record, but dude, we're killers, man. We excel in academics. You know, being Vietnamese American, like we excel in our professions. We excel in our hobbies, wrestling. We excel at clubs. Like we were the model minority, because, dude, it's not hard to be smart in Oklahoma. Like, you know, like it's not hard, dude. It's not fucking hard, dude. Like honestly, like the shit I got away with, like it's like, are you guys fucking idiots? Like it's just I didn't have to study in like, and so I think my point was like, we were like, me and my older brother were like, one of two Asian American guys with the white people. You get what I'm saying? And that enabled us to assimilate. That gave us a chance to. It's not automatic you can assimilate, but it enabled us to play in that community, and we just excelled, dude. Yeah. And it just snowballed from there.
So that was always a constant in your life, like crushing in academics,
for
sports, extracurriculars.
Yeah, the model minority. It's weird because it's weird, right? My older brother would say like that was the pressure cast upon him from the parents, but our parents didn't really talk to us, right? So everyone has a different perspective on it. My pressure came from because he thought, he thought it was a directive from our parents to be the model minority. So pressured me to be like this, just to be more than myself. And I think to answer your question, it was just a given. I don't know why, to be frank with you, because like my parents didn't know anything about school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so, it's not the typical, like, Asian American story where, like, your parents are hitting you because you got A's. My parents don't even know what A's are. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know why, dude. It's just, I think the parents, there was that pressure to, like, excel because my parents did say in limited words of, dude, we sacrificed our lives to bring you here, so you better make it worth it.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, but it wasn't as bad as the stereotype. It was just like it's hard to explain. It wasn't like the golden rule of the house or like it was like a banner, but it was an underlying theme.
Right. That was the frame that they were couching things in.
At least my dad. My mom didn't. I'm not gonna get put on my mom, but my dad for sure was like, yeah, you better make it worth it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah, I mean, maybe even not knowing what A's were, that they probably could see the through line there between like academic success, career success, like the American dream type stuff.
No, for sure. I think exactly. It's kind of like, and that's such a trap for the minority American. It's such a trap. Where like, I think the parents are pushing their kids to do well, but they're not academically trained or they're not, right? So you got to be the famous model of like doctor, engineer, lawyer. It's just like, yeah, you just have these big ass titles, but they don't even know what it means. They don't even know how to get there. But God damn it, you better get there.
Right.
It's just weird, right? And it's just it's such an insecurity on them, and it's such a lazy. Yeah, it's quite frankly, it's such a lazy way to treat your kids and yourself.
Yeah, I mean, they're projecting their own expectation or identity onto your life goals.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you have to try to fit into that mold.
Yeah, so they can flex. Yeah,
right.
It's a stupid cycle, man.
Yeah. So you had said that your brother had started to like push you more, and then it seems like that started to get more and more extreme. Is that fair to say?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And what forms did that take?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of like, where do I start, right? I just think it was just to understand, I guess, the trickle down effect of bullying. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dad got on for whatever, right? I can't speak on his experience, but dad was on a lot more than me. Yeah, shit, I'll say it. So, like, was a kid. I think he's in 7th grade. Yeah, he was in 7th grade. I'm in 5th grade. And they're playing this virtual pool game on the computer. We just got a PC. And so, like, in hindsight, like, we barely knew what a PC was, let alone my dad. Like, like, so, like, let alone my dad trying to figure out this box with a cord and a mouse. And so, yeah, it probably wasn't the smartest thing, but, like, Hong was like, hey, Dad, like, come play this billiards video game with us. And Dad's like, okay, and, like, Hong was, like, smashing my dad in this game, right? And, like, Hong just, yeah, I got you. And my dad just, like, beats the shit out of him, right? Like, just beats the shit out of him. And, like, me, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm glad I didn't play the game with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so shitty, dude. But I'm just there traumatized, like, do I call the cops? I always had that dilemma, right? Do I call the cops on my dad? I don't fucking know, right? I'm fucking 5th grade. I'm watching Power Rangers and shit. So, like, I get it, right? I get why he has his rage because dad took it out on him, right? And was his own person that was just trying to figure out his own shit as a kid. And so I guess it came back to me, right? Hong's way of bullying wasn't like, it was violence, but it was just controlling, man. Controlling what I say, how I act, my grades, just fucking everything. He was just that, because he spoke English, so it was like, in a way, it was less. It was just less blunt force and more psychological, man. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, you made a B, you better fucking study. So yeah, I'll get beat up for like stupid shit, like making a B or like, I don't know, man, acting out, which I didn't, dude. But he would just beat me up, suffocate me, choke me, just like some like terrible fucking shit, dude. and just like psychological bullying. I'd never know he would like when he would just like, you know how like Kool-Aid Man like breaks through the wall.
Yeah.
Like yeah, dude. I never know when the Kool-Aid Man would like break through the wall and beat my ass, dude. It's just like, fuck, man. Like like fuck, and like, we only had each other, and it's just kind of fucked up how I get it, dude, and I've forgiven him because I have the tools to forgive him, but like, we only had each other. Like, why shit on your only ally? It just, but that's, you know what I'm saying? It's just, that's trauma for you. Like, yeah, shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you'd be open to this observation, I kind of see a symmetry there between, like, you tell a story about him trying to connect with your dad, and then in this very loving act, and then your dad flips it and is violent towards him in that same way. Like, you were trying to probably connect with your older brother, and that's what he knew as an expression. He probably did not know how to, like, be that adult or that kind of role model, right?
No, for sure, man.
Because that had not been modeled for him.
No, that's a crazy observation, dude. I never thought of that. But yeah, it's just like, to your point, like, we express love or lack of how we're given or not given it, right? Like, that's, I don't know, Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Just, yeah, dude, like, expand upon your point, like, we can only, like, dish out what we're taught unless we take the time to develop better tools. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're isolated, it can be very difficult to find those tools or like have somebody to model that for you, or even know what is right in that situation, right?
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Just a kind of tangent, like, it's kind of weird, and you've told me your story a little bit too. It's just like, why is it that how do we know something is not right? Right? It's not like we grew up with these psychological handbooks, you know what I'm saying? So there's just this gut feeling of like, this isn't right. And so we get ourselves out of that environment, right? Like, you told me your story, and then like how you develop the tools to kind of gain a new perspective. And myself too, I got myself to Houston, went to therapy, just built myself up. It's just kind of crazy how, like, how did I know and how did you know things were like better on the other side?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, man.
Quite frankly, I have a lot of guilt about, because it's something like survivor's guilt. Like, what allowed me to find that healing for myself when other people and people that I love were not able to find that. And it's something that occupies a lot of headspace for me.
Damn, dude. I agree completely. I think that's why you and you're doing this podcast, right? Or like why we volunteer, or like, I volunteer for Big Brother, Big Sister. I'm not trying to like flex. I'm just saying, like, I think you and I are just trying to save other people. Yeah. To be 100% honest with you, right? Or like, hey, I did therapy. You should too. You know what I'm saying? Right, like, it's just like, yeah, dude. Nah, we can close that book, but it's just crazy observation I think about a lot too.
Yeah.
Like, I barely got the fuck out. Like, how?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, with that situation, like, that persisted all the way through high school, right?
Right. I say these stories with the caveat that's all knew, that's all my older brother knew, and I think we're on amicable or amiable, like, we get along now. So like, he's not some big villain, and my dad isn't some big villain, right? And I think as kids, teenagers, we have to like picture these people as villains to
everything's
to justify,
a lot more black and white.
Yeah, to justify their shit. But yeah, I think the climax of our situation was that my brother broke his hand while punching my face. I want to tell the story because, like, it's fucking stupid. Like, he was wrestling me. I was literally minding my own business. He just wanted my attention, dude, or whatever, right? And as I was getting older, I was, quote unquote, either fighting back more or not wanting to take a shit anymore, right? And he's, so he bullies me more, right? Like, oh yeah, like have some of my attention. Like, all right, dude, chill. And so he's wrestling me again. I'm just trying to watch Power Rangers. Like, fuck, dude. Like, they just got the Megazord. Like, I'm really into this shit, dude. And so, no, I'm literally just watching TV. He starts wrestling me, and it's like, I don't know, man. It just gets to a point, like, do you give up, or like, are you gonna shut the fuck up? I'm like, dude, no, man. Like, can you please leave me alone? Like, I'm watching whatever. And finally, it just gets this accumulation of like the fucking standoff. He's like, you're never gonna be bigger than me. I didn't say anything, dude. Like, I just told him to leave me alone. I think my presence was like insulting him or some shit, and that's like a recurring theme in my life of like my presence insulting people or whatever, or my attitude or whatever. So it's just this big battle of like, he's like, you're never gonna be bigger than me. Who the fuck do you think you are? And I'm like, dude, I'm like, what? I'm just sitting there like crying, and that's what I did when I was a kid, dude. I would just cry, keep my head down, and just make fists, because I didn't know how to express my shit. That's all I knew how to fucking do, man. Like, and so he just thought that was like, he took that as a threat. So he fucking like right hooks me. He didn't take boxing classes because he broke his wrist on my face, and then he's like, he does that, and I'm crying, like, because I'm too scared to hit him back. And like, dude, that's so traumatizing, man. Like, just straight up, like, man, I know I didn't have the tools back then to fight back. I didn't take my little jujitsu classes or whatever, but like, fuck, man, like, that's just traumatizing for both of us, but traumatizing for me, because like, yeah, I wish I would have fucking beat his ass back then, or tried to at least, right? Like, right, I hate that shit when you're looking back and like, I should have done this. Like, no, like,
right, you want the power in that
situation.
Yeah,
I hate that shit, dude. That's just crippling. But yeah, dude, dad comes home, and dad reluctantly takes him to the hospital. Like, shit, how much is it gonna cost me? Like, for real, like, because dad's like, is it real broken? I was like, yeah, dude, it's broken. Can I please go to the hospital? And dad's like, whatever, dude. And I'm sitting there crying, like, dude, I didn't know what to do, man. I just knew I was fucked, right? Like, when he gets home, like, dude, my life is gonna be fucking hell. And it was. Like, my parents didn't protect me from this fucking monster, dude. And yeah, he made my life fucking hell for him breaking his fist in my face. Like, what? Like, and like, that's why I'm so like big on logic now. Like, that's why I became an engineer, because like, data is logical. And I think like throughout my teenage and childhood life, like, things didn't make fucking sense, right? Like, that didn't make sense, and I couldn't argue with. But as I got better with building arguments with data and history and recording shit, like, he didn't have a foot to stand on. He'd be like, yeah, you're kind of right. That is, like, I did do that. So like, right. Slight tangent, but yeah, that was the crux of it. And things got a little worse for me bullying wise at home, but he couldn't beat me up anymore because he didn't have a fist. And then pretty much when I went to college and I was building these arguments versus him, I was building the tools to just get away from the dude, man. Being a better person, no offense, but just being a better person. Like, I'm not a fucking angel, dude. I've mentioned to you, like, I've traumatized my little brothers too, and we can touch on that more. Yeah, I was a bully older brother myself, so I'm not a fucking angel. But yeah, quite frankly, that was the recurring theme of my childhood and teenage years, is just get my ass beat, get bullied, how not to get in trouble, still get in trouble, and like be a better dude than my brother academically. Wrestling, I can never get better than wrestling, and I don't know. That's not a big important. Like, he kind of quit for academics, and then so did I. And so my point is, it was just like, how do I be better than this dude so he can shut the fuck up and I can live my life? And it worked, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that drive just builds, right? And it ends up being channeled into something productive, but it's still coming from that place of hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So it seems like it kind of petered off after you left for college, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Where did you go to college?
I went to a community college for my first 2 years, and then I moved to Norman, which is like 30 minutes away. Norman, Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So not too far. Like, I still had a home life, but I moved out.
Right. Yeah. So you had that physical distance.
Yeah, it helped out.
From that environment.
Yeah, it helped out a ton.
Right. And then being out of that environment, like, what is your life like in college? Now that you have that space and that freedom.
Right. Like, it's not the little phoenix rises from the ashes. I'm fucking like chugging beers and doing keg stands and boning chicks.
Right.
Quite frankly, like, it's just like it's not all fucking doom and gloom. There's like little hopes here and there, but yeah, like I'm like this little like nest duckling trying to figure out his shit, right? Trying to figure out his shit, but it's still Oklahoma. So yeah, no, like we touched on like the family and home stuff. You gotta keep in mind, I'm still in fucking Oklahoma. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still an Asian dude in Oklahoma, right? So it's like out the frying pan into the whatever, out of the kitchen, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Out of the frying pan into the next fire. I'm still in fucking Oklahoma, man. So like, it's not all doom and gloom. I just didn't have the social skills. I didn't have the social skills to make friends. I didn't make some like mechanical engineering friends to help me study. So yeah, thank you, engineering club friends, for getting me through college. But yeah, it's just I'm just this broke dude trying to figure his shit out, right? Trying to talk to girls, etc. There's nothing more to say than that. All I did was just study, get denied by girls, got my heart broken by this one white girl. That's actually like I was thinking about that the other day. Like these, yeah, everything's always about girls, right? Like this white girl. We'll call her Mary. Like she obviously liked me, because like I was able to express confidence. I'm a funny dude, right, or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And like Mary like genuinely liked me. Like I know that in my heart. And at that time, and we would like sleep. We didn't have sex or anything because like I was too scared to. But like we would like sleep over each other. Like
yeah.
Like and like she was just too culturally afraid to admit that she fucking liked me, like dating this Asian guy. She told me like I'm not attracted to Asian guys. Like people would say the fucked up shit like it was like normal stuff to Asian dudes, and like I just had to take it like that's normal. Like I'm just being Asian's a condition. My bad. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, and that's you explain my experience in college. It's like my experience in college besides academia is like, I know I'm this cool fucking dude. I don't know how. I just fucking do. I'm getting denied by Mary. I'm getting denied by the Asian fraternity. They're not denying me, but like, I don't really like get along with them.
Right.
Like I'm not getting along with the Asian Americans. It's just a really yes. I got away from like the family thing, which is awesome to be. Yeah. Like I'm finally able to like explore myself. Well, shit. Do I have the social tools to? Do I have the financial tools to? No,
Yeah.
But that's why you go to college, to do that shit.
Yeah.
So it was tough.
Yeah, and that situation, especially your Mary situation, it's like that's a fucked up thing to express, but like that's how she feels, and like even if you tell her like that's wrong, that's still how she feels.
Yeah, exactly. I told her like that's actually not knowing. Yeah, no, go ahead. Like I did tell her that's fucked up, but like what can I do? Like exactly.
Yeah, it's like okay, we're agreed that I'm in the wrong, but it's still how I feel. So like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, dude. Imagine having this conversation with every single like non-Vietnamese girl, and even the Vietnamese girls like. It's just that's a whole nother subject. I don't know if you have 12 hours about fucking Asian American.
We can make this a 6-parter. It's fine.
So I don't want to fucking make you a crybaby podcast. It's cool, man. But yeah, that was college in a nutshell.
And then you finish college, and then is it straight from college to the oil fields?
Yeah, cool, man. I want to touch on that a little more because like once again, I'm just grateful for my mom, just grateful for like, not OU, that's not the right word, because like, but just grateful for the opportunity to get a job with, I don't want to say the company's name, but with a major oil company to get to Houston. Like, what a fucking blessing, to be honest, even though I have my trauma and drama with that oil company. But dude, me getting that job odds are like 1%. Just straight up, right? Like, I wasn't able to speak as articulately as I am now I didn't have the interview skills. I had no coach. So I just went to career services. I just want to say, like, it took me a lot of work and guts and luck, to be honest, of like, go to career services. This is how you interview. And I don't know where I got that seed in my head, but I think my mom used to clean houses, right? And I knew roughly that some of the families that she cleaned houses was like oil money, right? So like in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, like how do I get there, right? Join an oil company and like learn how to speak like them, learn how to interview. Meanwhile, my peers, so like, yeah, the ones with like a leg in the door, they're getting these jobs easy. They know how to speak.
Right.
And then
they have the network.
Yeah. Whereas like my Asian American peers, they're either not doing it or they don't give a fuck. So once again, I'm ostracized, right? I'm ostracized because I'm taking the time to make an Asian engineering club because I care about like being a minority and making things better for us. And I'm trying to assimilate into corporate America, right? But I'm not having the tools. Like in hindsight, I'm really surprised I even got any internship because I just couldn't talk and express my ideas and whatever, right? I couldn't play the game. So like, I don't know if they felt sorry for me. I'm not trying to be like sad boy. It's just in hindsight, like it's just a miracle that I got any internship with Baker Hughes to Halliburton and then to that major oil company. Yeah. So like, I guess my point is that just by sheer luck and trying, I got on with that major oil company. And dude, that's why I'm chilling here with you. Like, what a fucking blessing. You know what I'm saying? Like, sincerely to pass that interview. I studied my ass off for it. I had a life experience for it. And just passing that interview, knowing I passed it, knowing my life was going to change. But yeah, dude, I was destined to, Halliburton gave me an offer, like, at the time, like $70K, which is a big deal for a kid. Like, oh my God, like $70K? Like, holy shit. But it was in Duncan, Oklahoma, like middle of fucking nowhere. So once again, I'm a minority in Oklahoma, and the coolest thing to do in that town is like hang out and Taco Bell on a Friday night. Like it's so shitty, dude. It's so shitty. Sorry, I'm going on a huge tangent, but that is carrying pipe. that's carrying pipe in the cement, in the cement world. So due to that experience, I did the homework. Like, why are we cementing? What's the pore pressure, frac gradients of this? I learned all the technical knowledge behind it. And it landed me a job with this major oil company. Like, gold, dude. Like, my life was really lucky, man. Because my mom didn't know this stuff. And even my interviewers, OU, they didn't teach me this shit, right? It's just pure fucking luck and talking to the right people. And me being that experience and trying to absorb all of it as best as I could got me, I smashed. I never smashed, I've only smashed a few things in my life, in my pre-college life. And that interview, I've never felt anything more confident that I smashed. Like, Jesus Christ, like I fucking killed it, right? It was sick. And just knowing that I smashed that interview to get me out of Duncan, Oklahoma, to get me away from Halliburton, to make me making like decent money for a 22-year-old, for an Asian American who's never been confident in his life, and to have money and power, dude, it's awesome, man. It's fucking awesome. And I got my not my recruiter / the engineer. I'm still friends with him. Shout out to Paul Golofsky. Man, he was a senior engineer at the time, and he kind of like coached me / was on the panel. And like, dude, he changed my fucking life. He called me, gave me that news, and I just cried, dude, because I knew my life was gonna change. For the better. For once, for the fucking better, dude. Right. And I called my mom. I called my mom first, man, and it just, God, man, I just sharing that news with her, and she cried, right? Like, it's just awesome, you know? Like mom and dad's, like, all the effort, like, they didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the effort, like, whatever, I just accumulated to that moment, you know? And,
that was the payoff.
The payoff. That was the payoff, and I just felt so happy for them. They felt so happy for me. And, like, we have limited time. So, like, my dad was never, he pushed us, but, like, he was happy for me, man. So somewhere in between somewhere between all the violence and to that college point, something just clicked, and he just stopped being an asshole. You know? And, like, he was genuinely happy for me, man. And I was happy for him because like I wanted to pay his ass back, you know, and buy him a truck and shit. So like a boat, you know what I'm saying? So he flex on his fucking Vietnamese Americans and be like, yeah, my son got me a boat. What's up? Yeah, I can digress. I'll stop there. But that's how I got to Houston, dude. And it's I'm not a fan of my corporate career, to be 100% honest with you, but I owe them a lot.
Yeah. In terms of your dad passing, like, what was that like? Had you guys kind of patched things up at that point?
Yeah, it's being a minority American, Asian American, we don't have the tools to talk stuff out. Even my mom, you know, she couldn't articulate. But me and my mom, we talk stuff out. So okay, that's not a good analogy. My point is like patching stuff up with non-English speaking or whatever, even in Vietnamese, just doesn't exist. Just kind of like moving on, and that's behind us kind of things. But yeah, dude, my dad, bless his soul or heart, he visited me in Houston. He got to see me shine, just for a little bit. But we got to get some Vietnamese food in Houston just one time.
Yeah.
It was enough. The dude, I don't know how to say it without crying. Like just like I'll cry if I have to, but like, yeah, we patched it up, but not in a articulated manner. Just seeing me shine, just seeing me successful was good for him.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, what did he pass from?
Just heart. It's so dumb. The coroner report doesn't have like a super strong statement, but it's heart attack. That's the best way to describe it.
So it was sudden,
Heart
I
attack.
assume.
Excuse me?
It was sudden. It was not expected. Like his health had not been deteriorating.
Kind of, sorta. I think it's weird, man. I think, the decades of drinking and smoking, he did stop. I'm really bad with numbers. He did stop 5 or 10 years before his demise. But yeah, I think not only that, just pushing 50, 60-hour weeks just caught up to him.
Yeah.
And he was still doing it because he didn't know how to do anything else. I just think that, and yeah, dude, now that I know what I know about life, the guy had a lot of internal stress. You know, he can't talk to his wife, whatever, right? His kids, he's getting in fights with his kids. Got stronger than him. Someone beat him up, so he, like, yeah, my son's beating me up, you know? But dad started it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny because my dad played the victim. It's kind of weird, right? Like, oh, my son beat me up. Like, well, why did your son beat you up? You know what I'm saying? Like, no one questioned him, right? Like, all the elders are like, yeah, your son is a bad son. Like, what? Like, the Vietnamese parents are so fucked up, man. It's so stupid. Like, yeah, dude, your son is shitty. Like, no, bro. Like, that's what it is to be a Vietnamese person. It's just like, it just trickles down, like, just super illogical, right? And so that was a long story. It's like he was the bad son that beat his dad up. Okay, like, sons go around beating their dads up. Like, no, they don't, you know? Yeah. It's just dumb. But, yeah, dude, I think dad dealt with a lot of internal stress, and I just think all that shit, in my opinion, this is just Thanh Hoang opinion, that shit just caught up to him, bro. And even though it's, like, tucked away, just all that years of stress, and then all the health issues just fucking caught up to his ass, to be frank with you.
Yeah. And I know you had kind of alluded to it, but had you guys had any chance to kind of like talk about that childhood stuff before he passed?
No.
Okay.
100% no. Like, I think I'll say it, fuck it. My family and I, we don't have the tools, man. We just don't, dude. My tools I've built through therapy and online research and meditation. But no, man. I think it's a shame, obviously, right? I think it's those tools can't be taught, and but I don't want to like diminish it. I think the fact that we weren't able to talk it out, there's that like understood, unspoken love.
Yeah.
because I did tell him like, yo, I'm gonna buy your dad's truck. And he'd be like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, yeah, he didn't speak much to me, but like, you know, he's like that. I don't want to say TV father, but there's that unspoken love. He turned around, dude, and it's a fucking shame that, and that's life, man. Like, he turned around as I moved to Houston, and he got to see me shine a little bit and what his work, you know, accumulated to. But yeah, it's fucked up, man. Life is so fucked up sometimes, where I'm not gonna say like we would have had that talk, but I think he'd be more proud or whatever, right? Or he would, maybe he would have developed the tools. Who fucking knows, you know?
Yeah.
But he was on his way. So RIP, like, he was on his way. And I think for him to get there, I told you the story, but I want to say it again. For him to get there, he's his own miracle, you know? Not just us. Like, he's his own fucking miracle, man. Can we talk about my dad a little more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my dad's his own miracle, because like I think I'll start the story like I officially forgave. That's not what I mean to forgive my dad. I don't know, whatever, right? Like I officially forgave him when I visited his home site back in Vietnam, where his hometown.
Right.
Right. And like the reason why I say like he's a miracle for himself is because like I think we need to like understand the origins of our villains or our trauma origins or whatever, right? If you understand where they come from, you can empathize, you can sympathize with your enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a phrase like how do you I don't know, move on from an enemy? You befriend them, right? And so yeah, my dad, just real briefly, my dad's story was like he's not a bad dude, right? Like for him to flip it around, like where did all that rage come from, right? Like no one like grows up punching people, right? like I mean maybe boxers, but like you know like that's a learned behavior, right? And so yeah, long story short, like I go to Vietnam when I'm after I moved to Houston, I have some money, so like yeah, I'm 24, 25 at the time. I have money to take my mom to Vietnam, and we go to Saigon, and then we take a ferry boat to go to some other hidden village, and then we take like these like small little like a dude on a bicycle. He's like waiting for us, like fucking Mission Impossible, right? He's like, get on if you want to live.
That's the old school Uber.
Yeah. So I got on this like fucking this dude on a bike, and my mom has his own dude with her bike, and they're paddling us on these fucking not a brick road, like these little like stone squares. Mm-hmm. Yeah, stone square road through these trees. Like I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And we go to like my dad's hometown, and like before. I have to tell you a story. Like before you enter like the village of the Hidden Leaf, like there's like this dudes shirtless, just sitting in shade right before you enter this village, right? And it's fucking hot. Like you think Houston's hot? Like no, I thought Houston was the hottest place in the world. No, it's fucking Vietnam. Like no, for real. Like it is like so fucking hot you can't think. I'm sure it's hotter, of course. I'm not dumb, but like it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
And so I get why there's dudes shirtless, just chilling, because like it's just too hot to do anything. So just before you enter the village, there's just dudes shirtless just laying outside in the shade, right? And you enter this fucking village, and everyone just looks like all pissed off because it's fucking hot, and we're in a shitty village, right? And the only thing to do is like this dirty beach. I'm sure my dad had like a decent child. I don't know. I can't say that, but you know, like you have like your little fishing. He loved fishing because it was a fishing village.
He had his outlets.
Yeah, but he loved fishing because it was a fishing village. Like I can, yeah, he was his origin story. But like just kind of understanding like that is when you, it's not a slum, but it's a shitty village, man. Yeah. No offense, dude. I'm not clowning it. It's just when you grow up in that kind of just shitty environment, and just knowing how my dad was raised with his brothers, and yeah, my dad was violent, and just knowing some of my uncles, man. One of them looks like Chong Li from the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Fucking like, I Will Break You. Like, one of them looks like that, dude. He's really beefy. Like, holy shit, dude.
Bloodsport?
Bloodsport, yeah. One of them looks like fucking Chong Li. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude, why didn't I get your genes? Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, dude, like just understanding that origin story. And so I meet my grandpa for the first time. That goes to show you how not close my dad's side is, right?
Yeah.
We're just all fucking strangers and shit. And whatever, it's not to the listeners' credit, right? Whatever, they're all poor. So I meet this dude, and he's like the nicest motherfucker ever, right? Like, he gives me like, some tea and shit. Like, you know, I say, I draw back, and like, I give my greetings, and he greets me and shit. And he's like, he treated me so nice, and he welcomed me into the home. But I can't explain it. Just going into that village and just walking into his home, I could just feel. I hate to like be all like spiritual, just the pain from the stones of the wall, like I just knowing all the rage from my dad, and just my uncle being all beefy and violent and shit. Dude, yeah, my grandpa, like, you're the source of all my dad's pain.
Yeah.
You know, like, fuck you, man. Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah, he was all nice to me, but I could just sense it, right? And like the disparity, like, yeah, my dad and his brothers grew up in this tiny ass little, it was a nice little place, whatever, just like, it's nice for what it is, you know, like just like this little stone shack, and they were all fishermen, but just, I don't know, man, all my rage for my dad and how he treated my mom and us just kind of melted when I saw this fragile, his dad, this fragile old man, like just seeing him and seeing my grandpa and how fragile he was. And yeah, I forgave my dad on the spot, and just it kind of just made sense to me, like, there's no point in being an asshole, or there's no point in giving your rage to somebody else. Like, it just all made sense, because you, as mean as you are, as bully as you are, we all become old men and women, and what then? You're still gonna be mad? Like, it just all made sense at that moment, man. And nah, that's why my dad's a miracle, to come from that and to get on a boat to flee the Vietnam War, and then somehow like, I'm pretty sure I know my dad got bullied at that construction company, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, he dealt with a lot of bullshit that I'll never know about, and like, Jesus Christ, man. My dad's his own miracle, and I'm really, whatever, man, life sucks, but like, he got to see me shine, and he got to see my brother shine too, and it's, yeah, I don't know.
Based on what you told me, I think I probably already know the answer to this, but had your dad talked about his father to you? Yeah.
No. No. I wish he did, though, man. I wish, I talk to my dad a lot, you know, and like, yeah, I'm really big on grief, man, and I talk to him about that a lot, you know. I tell him he can talk to me about that, you know. Like, he can share that shit with me. I think it's cool. I don't know. I think it's cool that I can say that to him, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I talk to him a lot about that. That's it. Like, if we couldn't talk about it in real life, we can talk about it now.
So after your dad died, did your mom start to find some healing after that?
It hit my mom hard, like super fucking hard, like, and it didn't make sense, right? I'm still 22, 23 at the time. I'm still in forming my brain, and my dad not being the villain, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
like, so to answer your question, like, did she heal? I think she processed it, but healing isn't the right word, because I think healing would imply maybe therapy. I think what I'm trying to say is, like, not that she needed to date somebody. I just think, I don't know how to answer this, David. I think eventually she did heal, but it just kind of took a while for her to kind of fucking grasp. This was our first tragedy for my family.
Yeah.
So I think just, I mean, like, death is some real shit. And so I think healing didn't really occur for any of us till year 5, year 6. But obviously, like, I'm carrying it, right? And she carried it. To answer your question. And then I think the second point was, like, once again, like, the kids are like, we have some, like, crazy American ideals, you know? I gave it time, like, year 5, year 6, but, like, I was like, Mom, you kind of need a partner, right? You don't need a partner, but, you know, like, we're leaving the nest, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm banging chicks, like, you know, like, Mom, you gotta go do something, like, you know, I can't always hang around you, like, you gotta go do something, Mom. And I think it's kind of cool, man. She's like, you know what, my first name is Pook. Like, you know, she's like, Pook, like, I love your dad. I have a lot of respect for him. And I don't think I can do that to him. I think that's fucking, like, cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma's really boring. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for her to be okay, like, not dating anybody and just being born in Oklahoma out of respect for my dad is, like, that is a sign of love.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough. Oklahoma's really fucking shit, dude. I fucking hate Oklahoma.
There's gonna be no listeners from Oklahoma.
yeah, dude.
And then how about you? Like, I know you mentioned finding therapy.
Fuck yeah.
When did that start, and kind of what was that journey to get there?
Thanks, man. Man, I disclaimer, like, it took me a long time, dude. I didn't even know therapy was a thing, right? And I'm a product from the 80s, and so I didn't hit my therapist. I didn't hit a therapist up until, honestly, I lost my first job. So at this point, I'm 30, 31. So recently, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think it's kind of messed up. Like, therapy wasn't okay until, quite frankly, I don't know for you, but therapy wasn't okay until past 6, 7 years. I don't know.
Culturally, you mean?
Culturally.
Yeah, I mean, I started like probably 29, and you know, if I'm being completely frank with you, I got dragged there against my will. The first thing I tried was couples therapy, and I was like, wait, this is not for crazy people. Like, I had this, and you know, this is very cultural. Like, I had a huge stigma around therapy. I thought it was like self-indulgent. I thought it was like quackery, and you know, it's definitely a lot more culturally acceptable now. And I don't know if you ever watched Sopranos.
No.
But so I mean, the kind of like opening lens to the show that continues through the whole series is a mob boss who goes to therapy.
No. Okay.
And I was speaking to a therapist not so long ago, not my therapist, but a therapist, and he was saying, like, that was a huge cultural shift in history where you had this traditionally, like, old school mafioso tough guy who realizes he has to go to therapy, and this is a backdrop to a very, very popular show, and it started to destigmatize it for a lot of people.
Wow.
And you know, like, he uses medication throughout the show, and like he cries in therapy, and you know, there's all of these things happening throughout the show that previously would have been taboo in popular culture. And apparently this marked this significant cultural shift in at least American culture, but definitely, like, I think there has been this progression over the last 20, 25 years of it being more socially acceptable. And, you know, especially with the generation below us, like, they're super open to therapy. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to that, being a child of the 80s and like coming to it what I would consider somewhat late, but definitely there's a lot of echoes in my own story with what you just said.
No, for sure, man. Yeah, so, like, it seems dumb isn't the right word, but it seems so dumb of, like, why didn't I do this earlier? I mean, we just didn't fucking know, dude.
Yeah.
And not just that, like, it was stigmatized, wouldn't really help. So yeah, quite frankly, dude, yeah, I hit my first therapist 7 years ago, and I wanted someone Asian.
Yeah.
I wanted someone Asian. I couldn't have another non-Asian person from HR just tell me what I should be feeling, and telling me that you know, and so I just like, please be, you know, please have a rice cooker at home.
Right.
So the background to I lost my job. I fell into a depression. I've actually, now that I know what I know, like, yeah, dude, I've been a depressed, the little mood swings and me, like my little pessimist outlook on life. Depression.
Yeah.
Like fucking depression, dude. Like not wanting to get out of bed or not wanting to do shit or not wanting to fucking argue with my big discriminating bigot boss. Like, you know, like, yeah, I know we're talking about like a lot of like pessimistic things. I am blessed. We've opened this podcast with gratitude. Sorry, I don't want to take a tangent. I just like,
Go ahead.
no, like, yeah, I don't want to be a doom and gloom kind of dude. Just like even with that oil company, there was a lot of blessings in between for sure.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of smiles in between all the yelling. So I just want to say that. But anywho though, so like, yeah, I got laid off, and this lady, like kind of, I didn't want to get out of bed. Like this is the first time where like I was unemployed, and I could just like sit in bed and cry and shit. And I was like, you know, like this is okay for a month, but like maybe for 2 months, like you know, like I need to get a new job besides crying. And so I look up any person with the last name Win on the Psychologist Today Finder. She's like this like older lady that took care of like veterans and shit. So she's like, I don't know, G.I. Jane of the Asian version of G.I. Jane. Not really up to date on like current psychology methods, because she told me like she wasn't the best therapist. Like she kind of gaslit me, which kind of pissed me off. But yeah, she basically kind of like, she diagnosed me. I'm thankful for her because she diagnosed me for my little bully syndrome. That's a recurring theme today. I'm always like, everyone's a bully. They're not, David. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I perceived them as bullies, and she kind of taught me like, if I think the whole world's a bully, or if I think the whole world is racist, that's all I'm gonna see.
Yeah.
And I can't dig myself out of this racist hole if that's all I see, right? And I've kind of dropped those kind of hints. White people, yeah, I gotta stop, but I can't. No excuses. I gotta stop blaming white people for everything. But it's
just give us a chance.
But she was right, dude. To be frank with you, beneath all the gaslighting and shit, she has some really good points, man. And I think that talk with her opened my eyes to therapy, and meditation saved my fucking life.
Yeah.
100%.
Was there a particular modality of therapy that you sought out initially, or was it just the first therapist that fit the criteria?
The first Asian therapist.
Yeah.
I didn't, you know what I'm saying? But now that I know what I know, and in our discussions, I know there's like, and then my best friend too, like, both of y'all have taught me there's specialties.
Yeah.
So.
When did you start meditation?
So imagine being a dude in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico for 2 weeks at a time. You have 56K internet access, so you don't really have internet.
Yeah.
So imagine being on a rig 2 weeks at a time with the same people that yell at you at the office. You have the same, maybe even more racist because they're oil field workers. You're on the rig with them, and they're your supervisors. You got the same people from Louisiana, Mississippi. Why the fuck did you do this, Ton? Are you a fucking idiot? You got the same people yelling at you for shit outside your control just because they can, and you gotta live with those two people for 2 weeks. How can anyone survive that? Meditation.
Yeah. Go internal.
Go internal. Just get out of my environment and appreciate that I can see the sunrise over the fucking Gulf of Mexico, or appreciate that I have a job, or appreciate I could go party in Thailand in 2 weeks. Yeah, dude, I think meditation fucking saved me from the recurring theme of our discussions in my life is like people yelling at me, man. And I don't necessarily yell back because I was taught to shut the fuck up. Anywho, a recurring theme is like people just yelling, and maybe they're not yelling, honestly. Due to my current experience, I don't know, but for young Ton, we just say they are yelling at me, and so like there's just so much rage, man. Just rage from all my stories, right? Just rage. So like I told you, like I wanted to not be like them. So how do I not be like them? I had to do something with this rage, right? And I'm not wrestling anymore, so I can't like hurt people for fun. So how do I deal with all these like everyone yelling at me? Fucking go, let's go inside, like meditate and just make sense of the world, or get away from that emotion rather, right?
Right.
And like, dude, that was clutch. Shout outs to random, like when I was in Bangkok, I saw this ad for like free meditation. I was like, hell yeah. I went to this random ass temple. This monk was like, yeah, all right, you fucking tourist. Here's how you meditate. You know, here's like the 3 noble truths. Yeah, whatever. Buy a bead, get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I'm just like soaking it up. I'm like, shit, 3 noble truths, man. Give me 4. I'm like, hell yeah. I soaked it up, man.
Yeah.
It was sick. And like I still have that piece of paper at home of like the 3 noble truths, and yeah, like get away from your emotions. Like sick. It changed my fucking life, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, dude. And then just to have that power over the rig, like it was just night and day. I mean, obviously I had to develop a meditation practice, but dude, just something clicked. Like they knew they couldn't fuck with me. Like just something clicked. Like all those like website leaders. So there's a captain of the rig, and there's multiple captains, just leaders, and the people that yelling at me, like they knew they couldn't fuck with me, man, because like they be yelling at me. I'm like, okay, I see your point, Frank. This is what I can do. This is my solution. And they're like, well, goddamn, Tom, why didn't you do that earlier? You know, like,
Yeah.
it's just
You
like,
did kind of like a keto move where you're redirecting their energy, and it just completely defuses the
dude,
situation.
it's been the moral of my fucking life, man. It's saved my fucking life, dude.
Yeah.
I've been failing recently just because I haven't had to use that keto, and yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, it's from that point on, dude. Like no one could fuck with me, man. Just because like all this rage, I'm like, I'm sorry you feel that way, or like, hey man, what can we do? Like all these new tools. It's awesome, man. It's meditation, or like this book called Crucial Conversations, how to navigate difficult conversations. Just like these tools are like literally tools, but they're tools to help understand people. And back then I used to think about like defeating people, because I mean I kind of had to, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's just amazing tools out there to like diminish the rage, to redirect the rage, or like befriend your enemies, or just get yourself out of these situations, man.
Right.
Awesome, right? Like so much of my life till like year 26, 27, 28 were like rage, get better, get smarter. That's such a self-defeating cycle. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's just after college, get yelled at this oil company, and then get promotion, still get yelled at in the ocean. You know, instead of getting yelled at on land, I'm in the ocean getting yelled at. Right? What's next? Space? Like hell yeah, Doug. I'm gonna fucking get yelled at in space. Fuck yeah. And so like just yeah, I'm just thankful for like my friends. We all grow, and then I'm one of the few of my friends that meditate. But you get it. Just developing these tools to like just make sense of this weird fucking life, dude.
Is it something that you picked up pretty quickly, or did it take some time to kind of like work up to a consistent practice?
No, I think I talked to a lot of people about this. I think to answer your question, no, and I'm thankful for that, because this goes back to like, I hate to say like, I do a lot of like acro yoga. Shout out to acrobatic yoga. I hate to be all cheesy yoga dude, but there's always a part of me that was like, I don't want to say it. It's so cheesy. Like namaste. That's not even like politically correct. But you get what I'm saying. Like,
I understand.
Yeah, there's always part of me that was like centered or chill, right?
Yeah.
And like even before this podcast, you saw me breathing, just like the center of my shit, right? I don't know, man. I guess I'm going on a tangent. My point is like it was always a part of me, and the fact like I had a breathing, a meditation to direct how to use that spiritual energy and how to make sense of the world. It's like it was always part of me. I just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
It was fucking sick.
Yeah.
I'm like a pro at it. No, man. I can talk your ear off. I think I'm not a pro at meditation. If anything, I'm at the point in my practice. I do want to talk about this. I'm at a point in my practice where like, when you call upon that, whatever, centering, I use big terms like power because I watch anime, whatever. When you call upon that power to only save you when things are traumatic, it diminishes its effect.
Yeah.
It's like using an antidepressant every time you're depressed, right? Okay, shitty analogy, but like that antidepressant needs to be part of your regimen, not just when you need it,
Yeah.
right? And so I just want to share my recent learnings is like, try, if you do have a meditation practice, make it, every day is hard, but try to do it not when you need it. And it's kind of mind blowing. It teaches you to, our lives are always drama, you know? We're talking about trauma and drama, you know? And so like, you and I are talking about like therapy and meditation to like bring yourself up. But I think meditation kind of teaches you of, okay, like meditation when there's trauma and drama, cool to mellow out your endorphins and your feelings, but also like when things are good, it can kind of bring you not down, but kind of like level out the ups, the highs and lows to kind of bring you center where you're not, when the lows don't hit you as hard, and the highs are still high. So you win by doing meditating, by meditating for everything, not just the bads.
Yeah. It's like an insurance policy. Like you don't want to wait till after the bad thing has happened to get insurance. Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's also definitely been my experience. Just things have not been as erratic internally. Things, like you said, you still experience the highs, but the ability to get back to center more quickly when things go badly has definitely improved dramatically since starting meditation.
No, for sure. Sorry to go on a tangent. Just like meditation is cool. I think you and I both get a lot of questions on it. I think there's no right or wrong way, and everyone has their own practice. But just having a practice will save your fucking life.
Yeah. I wanted to ask. I know you had made reference to it earlier about your mom passing. Roughly about 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever have the chance to talk to her about childhood before she passed?
I think that's a tough question. Answer is yes, right? My mom spoke English, so it wasn't like an English limited capability. I think my mom was a saint, man. Is a saint, whatever, right? And like, I think she didn't have the tools to recent, like to even like hear it. But I think post my dad dying and post me and my brothers developing better tools to communicate with our mom, to express love, disappointment, whatever, we brought these things to her, and she would just, let me backtrack. 10 years ago, she would just shut it down. Hey, I don't want to talk about it. It is what it is, right? And then 6 years ago, she's like, just open to listening, right? And then 4 years ago, she's like, or 4 or 5 years ago, she would be able to say the words, we had a tough life, but we made it out. You know, so like the evolution of like not being able to talk about it, listening, hey, we made it out okay, and to I'm proud of you, and that was the evolution of, to answer your question, the evolution of like talking about our past.
Yeah.
But I think to point it out again, and I'll say it for the Asian American community, like we don't talk about this shit. Like it's either understood that it's in the past, or the kid confronts the parent, and or the parent acknowledges it, and that's all we get.
Yeah.
I will say that out loud. That's all we get. I do a lot of like they call it subtle Asian mental health, because it's just a tacky. It's just our theme, subtle Asian traits. It's a cool Facebook group. So there's a subtle Asian mental health, and dude, there's thousands and thousands of posts like that, just crying, just crying through our child-parent trauma.
Is there kind of like an understanding that they get kind of like a hall pass because of that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The phrase that kind of 10 years ago, the kind of phrase that kind of helped me, I don't want to say forgive, right? It's not like they did some like atrocious crime to me, So I hate the word forgive, but to kind of understand my parents' methodologies, it's like it's on the child, the son or daughter, to develop the tools that your parents didn't have. Like that shit carries me to this fucking day.
Yeah.
It's like that's why I have my therapy and my meditation. Like I now have the tools that they didn't get to have, and that's cool. And I've used it to heal, and I approach my brothers with it, which is another story. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I think my story, as well as the Facebook post stories, is that we understand that they don't have those tools. But I think the underlying theme is, what are you going to do about it, right? And my mom would say that too, and that was one of her things. Like, you know, like me and would complain to her about some fucked up shit. Like I would complain about the oil fields. It's crazy. Like, you know, like my mom was a house cleaner, man, and she worked for like these rich families. But I would be complaining to her about some like complex shit, like my political big oil company, you know?
Right.
And she was able to like to deduce, hey, his boss is an asshole, but you know, my son is in a corporate environment, so he doesn't have leverage, so what can he do about it? And she obviously, her advice wasn't like, well, go to HR and do a report. No.
Right.
But her advice was like, okay, what can you do about it? She was always good about redirecting our rage, just like she did with Dad, right? Like she was always good about redirecting. What can you do about this shit, right? Otherwise, stop complaining, stop bitching about it to me, right? Like, dude, eat your gum, eat your rice, shut the fuck up, and like, nah, she wouldn't say that. But like, you know, here's your little rice, and what can you do about it? She was really smart, dude. Like emotional intelligence. It's probably I owe her like. Yeah, I'll say I'm pretty fucking emotionally intelligent, right? And I think like getting the shit kicked out of me through my childhood, plus having her emotional intelligence to get out of my childhood and whatever, to get out of that logic. Yeah, she needed to. Her love and her emotional intelligence saved me and my brothers from all the rage from my dad at the time in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So it's. Nah, man, she taught me a lot, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean, even as you tell that story, the thing that kind of connects is like that ability to redirect rage or like that kind of energy. It seems like maybe that's something that you got from her.
Oh, for sure, dude. It's like, about it from her point of view, is like, exactly. She's fucking smart, dude. Like, just. She's shorter than me. I know I'm short, David, but like she's like fucking like 4'11", like fucking short as fuck, right? And super powerful, man. I think super powerful, just her stature. I have my own phrase, and like living is an act of resistance, right? So whether she's like resisting my dad at the time and like his stupid ass bullying, or like she went through some shit, dude. You know, you're a house cleaner taking shit from fucking rich people, or she was a cashier, like. Yeah, I only know of a few, but she's been through a lot of shit. And just to process all that, she did what she had to do, right? She was like, yo, this is my skill set. My English is pretty decent. She knew she had to speak English, and that's a big fucking deal back in the 70s, 80s, right? So she had that leg up. And kind of like me, like, hey, how do I get a job at this oil company? And she was like, how do I make the monies? Be a friend of rich white people. And it fucking worked.
Yeah.
Here I am. Shout outs, I don't say that name, but shout outs to one of the rich families. I still wear their clothes to this day. Like, yeah, dude. One of their kids is like a pretty tall, fat white kid. And, you know, he's throwing away his Abercrombie shorts and shit. And like, I still have some of that shit to this day, dude. It's fucking sick, dude. So shout outs to that family. Hey, thanks for you have some of your clothes.
Yeah, it's like abstract hand-me-downs.
yeah, it's it, dude. But nah, just her emotional challenge to befriend these people, get on their side, whether genuine or not, and to fucking win. Clutch, man. Yeah. You know, and me and my brothers to learn all that, and to come out of our Oklahoma environment, from my dad's environment, from each other's environment, from me bullying my little brothers, to just my mom fucking saved us, dude.
Yeah.
Just fucking sick.
So it sounds like things were in a pretty good place between you guys when she passed.
Oh, for sure, dude. That's my story, right? Thanks to oil money. They took oil money, and like I got to take her to like, I after my dad passed, you kind of realize like this life is short, and you need to fucking say if you need to say something or take care of some shit, you gotta do it when the other person's alive.
Right.
Otherwise, dude, I mean, literally, you take it to the grave, right? It's pretty fucked up, but that's the truth, and that's my learnings. So I made damn sure, like, I had some beef with my mom, to be frank with you. Actually, I kind of don't want to go into it.
Sure,
I think,
yeah.
fuck it. I had some beef with my mom, right? Just the upbringings and my sibling relationship and why she didn't protect me long and all that shit.
Right.
So, like, yeah, 5 years after, there's some beef, right? But after me maturing and just making sense of everything, we settled a lot, dude. And so, like, I would have been okay if she just, like, my little analogy of, like, her just listening to us rant about Oklahoma and the dad stuff, I would have been okay with that, right? But the fact that she grew even more, she had a lot of rage, too, to be frank with you. I mean, you can't go through her experience and not be a mean old lady. Sometimes, right? So, but she just let that shit go 5 or 6 years ago, man. She kind of like, she just wasn't as controlling. She grew too, is my point. I'll just say that. Like, she grew too enough to accept me and like in my hard points. So, no, man. Answer your question, like, yeah, dude. She grew to a place where she could accept my new communication tools. Hey, and dude, we ended on a good note, man. And I think because of my dad passing, I knew it's not like I predicted this shit, but I live my life to a point where, like, if I got beef or if I need to settle something, you settle that shit.
Yeah.
That's it. And I spent a lot of years before my mom's cancer, just like, I spent my vacations, like, I dragged her to Japan. And that's such a weird thing to say. Like, I dragged her to Japan. So, I won't go too much into that story, but just like, she's still pretty conservative, right? And like, don't waste money on me, and why are we in Japan? It's too clean here. These Japanese people don't speak English. Like, dude, yeah, of course they don't, mom. Like, you know. And like, I don't know where I'm going. She had a bunch of control issues because she controlled our family to save us, right? So to bring this small little Vietnamese lady to Japan was like a mind fuck for her. And we're arguing in Japan, right? It wasn't all roses. Like, we argued in Japan, like, why am I here? She's crying. I don't know. These people only eat fish. You know, like, and it's like, I don't want to eat sushi one more time. I'm gonna throw up. I'm like, I'm sorry, mom. You know, like, it's cool, man. It's cool. We'll figure it out. I'm trying to, like, damage control the situation. But afterwards, she's like, man, I'm really glad you took me. Like, I say the story not to brag. I'm just saying, like, I knew I needed to spend time with my mom. Like, just, of course, and to resolve shit, maybe, or just show her a life outside Oklahoma. She said she always wanted to travel the world. Fucking let's go. You know, stop complaining. So, yeah, dude. Sorry, I keep dragging on. I settled shit with my mom. I kind of forced her into it, and she finally became a person that was open to it. And I took her to Spain. She grew, man. Yeah. Like, way more than what anyone from a small village in Vietnam should have.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's really very touching. And what I think about with regards to you and I, like I mentioned at the opening of the podcast, and we're only just starting to get to know each other. And something that happened very early on in getting to know you was you were reading a book about grief. And when I asked you about it, you had said that you were reading it to help a friend deal with her grief. And I thought that was very touching. And as you tell this story, I realized that you have had a lot of your own experiences with grief and very intense, pointed grief. And I'm just wondering, as we close out here, if there is Is there something that stands out for you in terms of learning about grief that you feel is important to share?
Damn, dude, that's super huge for you to recognize. I think, thank you for recognizing that. And yeah, grief's it's a turning point for my life. And I think, I'm just gonna speak from the heart, man. Grief is gonna be the turning point for anyone's fucking life. It is the literal stone cold turning point. It will fuck your shit up. It's not TV. It's not the TV. It happens, and then a year later, like, you get the montage of you, like, there's balloons and shit. Like, it is with you till you eventually die, right? Like, it turns your viewpoint. The way you eat, you taste, the love. It changes every fucking thing. And it takes therapy. It takes other love to channel all that grief to save you from depression. Because that shit, I don't know why it's not more public, man. I think you asked me, like, what's my one message? Is grief is the most real shit you can ever encounter, man. And I'll say it, man. Like, I think me and my family, we've had a, whatever, like, everyone goes through shit. Everyone goes through shit for sure. That's a given. We've had some pretty bad luck with the draw, dude. And we don't have the happy TV ending that a lot of families have. We have each other, which is cool. But yeah, I guess I say it out loud, man. When you lose, like, me and my family, we only got each other. Like, that experience that I just told you is just our experience, right? Like, yeah. And so I think my brothers and I, we're hurting. We're always gonna be hurting because, like, our parents didn't get to see the end of their journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And my brothers and I are gonna, like, continue that legacy. Yeah, like, that's why we're crushing it. But, like, sorry, I can't put it into a nutshell. Just my summary is, like, grief's some real shit, and my message is, it's so much bigger than what TV and media portrays. It's life-changing, and if you know someone in grief, read any of these grief books, man. They talk you through the stages, but not just that. I think getting educated on it is one, doing tools like therapy, meditation is two, but three, like, when someone's in grief, like, I think there's a meme, not meme, but Jesus Christ, a meme about grief. Jesus Christ, dude. That just
means for everything these days.
Yeah, Jesus. This grief is like a button. Like, it's like a square room, and there's like a balloon floating around, a big balloon floating around that room, right? And grief is a button in that room. And sometimes, like, that balloon is gonna hit that button, and, like, I cried last week in our talk, and I cried a little bit today when I spoke about my dad's. It's just whenever something touches that button, right? It doesn't have to even be about that parent. Like, hey, like, my mom gets Taco Bell as a victory, you know, and that's why I love Taco Bell. Shout out to Nacho Supreme. And, you know, there's just so much about grief. Yeah, grief's a part of everyone's life. Sorry, that's like a big message. It's just, grief's a big fucking deal. If there's anyone going through it, just be sensitive to their shit. Don't tell them that God has a plan. Like, that's so fucked up. I hate that shit, right? Like, don't tell them God has a plan. Don't tell them, you know, all that corny shit. Just fucking drop it. Time heals all wounds. Just be there for your friend, or read a book and get educated on it.
Yeah,
that's my TLDR. Thank you. Thank you for asking, man. It drives me fucking crazy, man.
Well, I think that's a good point to close out on, and I want to thank you again for showing up today, and the openness and the vulnerability. And I think this was a really beautiful episode, so thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me. Thank you for your observations on point. Let me twist it on you. Is there anything that you want to share, or, like, what do you want to talk about, like, lessons learned? Not just from me, right? Like, can we do a TLDR, or do you want to? I don't care.
I mean,
what's your reflections on all this?
I think my reflections on it would be And it's funny. There is a book that I first read about 3 months ago, and I'm rereading it now. It's called I Don't Want to Talk About It by Terrence Real. He's a therapist who had a very traumatic childhood himself and specializes in men's therapy now. But the book is a collection of stories about they're not specifically patients he's treated. A lot of them are amalgams of different people to protect their identity or to enhance the point he's trying to make. But it talks all about how these traumas manifest themselves in either covert or overt ways down the road. And you can, sometimes that results in a person hurting other people, and that can be physical violence, it can be emotional violence, it can sexual violence, it can manifest in a number of different ways. Sometimes it's internal, right? So like depression, binge eating, all of the process addictions, right? Like gambling addiction, sex addiction, shopping. Sure. And I think the overt ones are a lot more stigmatized or criticized because somebody else is getting hurt, right? But for that person, either one is tearing them up inside, right? That is their way of coping with this pain that they have endured. And the only way out of it is doing the work, right? And that is the everything for me, is like you can either face into the pain or pass it on to other people. And it can be either explicitly or implicitly. And I think the implicit flies under a lot of people's radar, but just trying to face away from the pain, it doesn't work. And I spent a lot of time trying to face away from the pain, trying to avoid it, being depressed, having a number of different addictions, and the only thing that worked was the work. So there's no shortcut. There's no like BuzzFeed 10 things to get over your issues. The answer is hard work, and kind of like you talked about carrying the pipe. Like you gotta roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty. Like that's the only way through it. And it's tough, and it is challenging, and it fucking sucks, but the payoff is worth it.
No, that's a good summary. That's good. Let's end on that note. Yeah, sick, man. I agree completely, man.
All right, awesome.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ton.